Welcome to 5 at 5 with Stone Law Offices. I'm attorney Brendan Bybee with 5 minutes on the question, can I be disinherited by my mom in favor of the dog? So pet trusts. People are often a little curious about pet trusts. And again, that question, can mom disinherit me and give everything that she was going to give to me to the family dog? And the answer to that question is yes. Yes, technically you could be disinherited in favor of the dog. Now, what Nevada law provides for is that, well, first of all, pets are a little bit different than other property. In the first place, you may not know that pets are considered property. So generally, you can leave your pet to somebody just the same way as you can leave a car or jewelry or something like that. The pet is considered property that you're allowed to give to another person, even though it's a living thing. Now, that fact that it's a living thing means there are some other features about that kind of lend themselves to what we have now in the creation of pet trusts. Now, if you leave somebody a car, they don't have to do anything to take care of that car. They can let it just sit in the garage. There's no obligation, even though it might be useful to have some funds to maintain that. And somebody might make a cash gift on top of that. They don't have to do anything with the car. And the car is, maybe it's going to reduce in value if they don't maintain it and things like that. But like an animal, it doesn't really expire. It's not going to die and pass away and be gone, regardless of what might happen to it over a much more extended period of time if it's left to sort of waste. But animals are another story. You're giving a piece of property, but they also have an obligation. These are things that need care to continue to live. And so Nevada law and laws of many states now do recognize pet trusts. And what they are is really a situation where you are providing assets for the care of that animal for the duration of that animal's life. And it could be one or any more animals, but it's not entirely uncommon to see this. We may see it perhaps more often, not as a disinheritance situation in most cases, but either where they don't have children to leave their property to, and so the animals have become more important, or just because the animals are so important that they want to leave something. And in most cases that I've dealt with, not as a disinheritance of a child, but just a small portion that's left just to provide for the care of that animal. They want to make sure it's left in comfort. They want to make sure it has veterinary care that it needs. And so they just leave a small portion aside. And essentially how it works is a person is named to be in charge of the money. That may or may not be the same person that's left in the custody to take and care for the animal physically and make sure that it's taken care of in those ways. But essentially that money is there to fund whatever is needed throughout that time. And then when the animal or animals pass away, then the trust says, what happens to the rest of the funds. So there are some famous stories out there. I think Leona Helmsley might be one who left a large amount to an animal as opposed to leaving it to kids. And certainly it would be perfectly human to be somewhat hurt and offended if the dog got a larger inheritance than you. But it certainly is possible to provide for a pet. And even to provide more generously for that pet than you might for another person. There are some limits under the law for that, but in most cases in the state of Nevada, people are permitted under the law to do whatever they're competent to do. And so if you are disinherited in favor of the dog, what are your options at that point? Well, that depends. You can always let something be just the way it is. But if you think that may have been done improperly, in this case, it really, animals aren't going to exert undue influence on a person and leave them an inheritance. That's probably not a reasonable argument for you to make, but it's possible if there are capacity issues. If you think that the person, that your mom was perhaps not in the strongest mental health at the time she made the gift to the pet, then that might be a way to disrupt that. But otherwise, like I said, it's provided for under Nevada law. In general, we permit people to decide what happens with their property when they're gone, and that includes leaving it to animals. So if you don't want to be disinherited in favor of the dog, Perhaps make sure you maintain those relationships well with your parents or whoever it is that your grandparents or whoever you're expecting inheritance from. And if you have a pet and you want to make sure it's taken care of, there are certainly some additional details that need to be determined with that, and we can help you do that. So if you have questions about this, or if you've been disinherited in favor of the dog or the cat or the horse or whatever, let us know and we can take a look at that issue for you. We hope to hear from you soon here at Stone Law, and thanks for your time.